Hello and welcome to VR Club. My name is Omkar, and today we're going to be going over particles. In this lesson specifically, we're going to focus on what particles are, how to implement them in your project, and then we're going to go over how to create a fire in Unity. You can also use particles for other things such as explosions, but we're not really going to get into that in this lesson. For this lesson, you'll need a computer with Unity installed. To start off, we'll be going over what a particle system actually is. A particle system is interesting in Unity because it's both an object in itself, but it can also be a component of another object. To show you an example, I'll start by creating a new cube. Now this cube doesn't have anything attached to it right now, but if I hit add component and I put in particle system, then you can see that I can attach it to the cube. Right now there's nothing really attached to the particle system, but you can see it's got a lot of different settings here. This is just to show you how to attach it. For the purposes of this lesson, we'll be using an independent particle system object, which you can also create by doing right-click, effects, and particle system. So as you can see right now, it doesn't look like much, just a bunch of white particles, but there's a lot of different settings that you can go through to change it. First, we've got duration. This changes how long the particles go if it's not looping. Right now the particles are looping, which means it'll go on a set track forever. But if I uncheck particle system looping, right now if I hit play, they'll go for 5 seconds before stopping. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and you can see that it's going right now, but after 5 seconds it should stop, like that. So right now I'm going to keep looping on just for the purposes of showing this, but you can change how long the duration is to make it shorter or longer. Pre-warm means it'll start fully in action. Normally, if this is unchecked, it'll start by starting small and growing, but after this it'll start at full size. Start delay means how long it'll take before the duration actually starts. So you can set this, if looping is off, you can say wait 2 seconds and then it'll start, but we'll keep looping on again. You've got start lifetime, so each particle has a different amount of time that it'll stay, but right now it's at 5 seconds. But you can also set it to be random between two constants or two curves, which means each one will have a different independently random amount of time that it will last. Start speed means how fast the particles are going. So right now you can see it's constant, but if I set it to random between, let's say, 2 and 4, you can see that the particles, some of them are going faster and some of them are going slower. I'll just set it back to a constant. We've also got 3D start size, which you can change to be random or not. So if I set it between 2 and 4, you can see that there are many different sizes it can take. So I'll put it between 1 and 4 just to show you a little better, but you can see that a lot of these have different sizes. Start rotation is pretty similar. You can change how much these are rotated. Flip rotation is whether or not they'll flip in the air. And now we come to some more visual aspects, such as start color. So as you can see, you can change what color the particles are when they start. Gravity you can change as well. So if I change it to 2D physics, the gravity will change how it affects the particles. You've also got different gravity modifiers, so if I set this to 1, then they'll be affected by gravity, but if I set it to 0.1, they go much higher before eventually falling. You've got some other stuff, including simulation space, which is where these are affected. Pretty much I would set it to local. Simulation speed, this can make it go faster or slower, and there's some other stuff. So this is the primary settings for the particle system. You can also check out some other settings such as emission, which is how fast these come out. you can set shape. This is the main thing to make it look unique. So you can change how they're emitted. So for example, if they're emitted in a sphere around the center point, a hemisphere, a box, a circle. There's many different settings you can use. Right now, we'll stick with a cone, but you can set up various different options here. So, and if I do emit from volume, it'll emit from everywhere around this area. There's a lot of different other settings, including how fast particles go. You can mess with that more here. Color over lifetime. This one's pretty important. If I hit this, you can make it go on a gradient. Right now it's just white to white, but if I change this to red here, and then let's say green here, and I do classic blend, you can move these options, these toggles around, just to show different settings. You can also change color by speed, size, rotation, and then some more complicated things such as noise when they're emitted, how they collide with other objects. These are things you should experiment with on your own. But now that we've gone over most of the settings and how to create a particle system and how to attach it, we're going to go over how to specifically make it so that it simulates fire. And there are much more complicated ways to do this. One of your best options might be to get some fire from the asset store, but right now we're going to just create fire using what we have available with the particle system. First, we're going to do some basic visual changes. Go to the Renderer tab, change the render mode to Mesh, and select Material and change that to Sprites Default, which should be pre-installed with Unity. Follow along with the video if you're confused on how to do that. Next, change the start lifetime to oscillate randomly between 1 and 1.5, change the start speed to 0.2, and change the gravity modifier to -1. Also make sure that the simulation space is set to world so that you can move the flame around. Next, go to the Shape tab and change the shape to sphere. Open up the Color over Lifetime tab and click on the white bar to change the colors. Use the bottom tabs to change the color. If you want to, use a gradient or keep it a single color. Next, click on the top right bar and set the alpha to 0. This way your flame will fade out over time. Next, set your start size to change randomly between 1 and 1.5. Then, check the Rotation over Lifetime tab and change the angular velocity to be random between 45 and 90 degrees. After that, go and check the Size over Lifetime tab and click on the Size curve. You can right-click and add points to change the way the curve looks, or you can use one of the defaults to change the size over the lifetime of each particle to what you like. Finally, head to the Emission tab and change the rate over time to 20. Now you're all set for a great fire. That's it for today's lesson. I hope it was entertaining and useful. If you want an extra challenge, like I mentioned at the start of the video, then try combining everything you've learned so far and create a button that when you press it will make a fire pop up. This will involve Unity, coding, and particle knowledge. So that's it from me, but you can also go to Unity's website and look up their particle system tutorial for more details. For our next lesson, I'll be turning you over to my colleague Frank, and you'll be learning more about how to use the XR system in Unity and get started with VR tools. Thanks for following along.